Let's go to the next one. This one is Nikhil Brahmane from India. Says, below is my portfolio. Happy to hear your opinion on my portfolio. Thank you for your feedback. Let's take a look. Joel from The Last of Us. Nice. Okay. I love the variation on the color. It's a good variation. I'm not seeing variation on the glossiness. I only see a very little amount of glossiness here on the lips, but the rest of the skin is pretty much dry. Pretty much completely dry right there. I'm not seeing too much of a difference between those renders. Oh, it's like the layers. Okay. I mean, it's a good piece, but again, we're missing basic stuff like the wireframe. I would like to see it on a different light setup, maybe, to understand how this one looks. It's not bad. You did a really good job on the groom as well. Like the beard and everything looks quite nice. But yeah, it's the material definition. I can see that there's a little bit of subsurface scattering. That's great. Again, I can see the color variation. That's also great. But it's just, it looks very flat, very dry, like the skin. And I'm not sure if that's how normal human skin would look. We take a look and see if we have more stuff here. Okay, yeah, you have a couple of other elements. That's definitely your strongest piece, at least from a basics or like a watch thing. And yeah, my advice for your portfolio, man, because that's a very good piece for your portfolio, to be honest. My best advice would be to finish more pieces. So if you're doing this, like this marble designer jacket, that's fine. Pants, all of that's pretty cool. But finish it. Do retopology, do texturing. Same for this armor. That's a very cool armor. Like, imagine if it was textured and then rendered and everything. That would be pretty cool. Also, another tip, and this is for everyone, guys. If you're going to be posting screenshots from ZBrush, again, please, change the values. Look at this. It's very dark. Everyone should know Photoshop. Image. Then, filter. Adjust. We're going to level levels. This thing right here. This is your secret, guys. This is the levels. We've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. This represents where your pixels are. So as you can see, most of the pixels in this image are in the dark areas. We barely have any white pixel. Let's push it like this. Okay. Can you see the difference? So now we're remapping those pixels and rebalancing the element so that we can actually see what's going on. So this right here, the upper part of your histogram will tell you where your pixels are. And this is a good way to remap everything. Now, you don't have to go super high contrast. We can keep it something like this. And then this one's right here. These are your limits on how to do that. Yeah, let me show that again. So if you heard you very much, and this again, this works in Photoshop, this works in Krita, it works everywhere. You add a layer adjustment and you do a levels, okay? So here in Krita is filter and then adjust and then levels, or Control L is usually the shortcut. This right here are two values or two vars that you're going to be controlling. The first one are all of your pixels. So this bar right here represents where your pixels are in the image. So you want to move these things so that your pixels are sort of like evenly distributed along this range, like this. See that? So when we're here, we don't have any pixel above 50% gray or white. So if I push this guys right here, now we remap all of the pixels so that they fit within this particular range. Again, very, very important. And once we do this, you can also go down here and say, hey, I want my lowest black to be more like a dark gray right here. See that? So we get rid of that like super dark contrast. So this is a good way. If you have like really, really dark darks, you can just push this a little bit right here and it will sort of like remove those darker darks. And then over here, same for the whites. So we have some really strong highlights and we don't want those highlights to be complete white. You can push this in a little bit more and that's going to make them a little bit more like a lighter gray, right? So I'm going to do mine like right around there. So you can see, look at the difference. Like this is what you show on a portfolio. No one's going to be able to tell what's going on. Instead, you show this on the portfolio and it looks a lot more interesting. Like you can actually see the details. You can actually see the forms. So whenever you're like uploading stuff to ArtStation or to anywhere, check your levels. Make sure that things are not too dark. And usually, and this is from, again, from personal experience, and it's a tip that I'm giving you everyone, people respond more when the images are not as dark. So I've tried this on YouTube with like the thumbnails. If the thumbnail is very dark, people don't click on it. But if it's a little bit lighter, they will click on it. So I will always push things to be a little bit lighter than I would like, just because I know that that's what people are going to respond to. You also need to take in consideration that not everyone is watching your stuff in a computer with like proper light and everything. They might be watching it on their phones or on a tablet or whatever. So the color corrections and the color curves might be a little bit different, okay? Let's see. Oh yeah, the banding with Photoshop sucks, Casey. The way to avoid that is to work with 16-bit images. Work with 16-bit images. That's gonna give you more values, and you're not gonna have that much banding. Profe, I was worried about timing, and I'm following your course, and like you said, if I post in my profile, I'm kind of the cheap version of the original, and it's 3 years already. I'm training to become more every day, but I'm afraid of the recruiters are going to judge if I didn't post a thing in the next couple of months. But the only thing I ask your courses for you, it's a problem when 3D artists take a ton of time, and after a time, no, for me it's not a problem. I see, like, if I see a portfolio and I see 4 pieces like Elizabeth here, but they're really good pieces, and one was done 3 years ago, and then 1 year ago, and then 6 months ago, and then last week, that's fine, because they're 4 amazing pieces. So I don't know what the person was doing during their like life or during their work, but they show me that they can do whatever it is they're doing. So I personally don't mind. And you can always explain those gaps in portfolios as I was training, or those projects are under NDA, I cannot do it, so, or I cannot show it. So there's a bunch of ways to do it. What about darker scenes? It's the same thing. It's similar. It's not exactly the same thing, but there's here's the thing. Do you remember if you guys haven't seen this movie, The Witch? Amazing movie. Freaking amazing movie. Look at the cinematic or the cinematography of this movie. Is it dark? No, right? It's not dark. It's definitely not like super bright, but we can still see and tell what's going on. There's high contrast, like on that scene right there. This is a horror film. It's a very good horror film, by the way, but it's not completely dark. Look at this image right here. Right? Again, if we take a look at the histogram of this thing, look what the pixels are. Yes, we have very dark pixels, like all of this, all of the shadows, very contrasty pictures, but look at how it fades all the way till this point. We even have like 0.75 elements right here. So there's always light even on those scenes. There's this other movie, The Conjuring, right? Same stuff. Like you see the scenes from The Conjuring, and you're gonna see that they're not completely dark. Sometimes, depending again on the art direction, it might work, but ideally you want to be able to see things. I always use as reference the Game of Thrones battle night scene. You guys remember that one several years ago? This scene right here. It was the battle against like the Whites or whatever in freaking Winterfell, and it's just too dark. Like I had a good TV back in the day, and we were in like a dark room and everything. Like we were trying to enjoy it as much as we could. You could not see anything. Like it was pretty much impossible to see. Like they were expecting you to have like I don't know, like an OLED screen in like a cinematic room. Like look at that. Again, check the levels. Look at that. Like there's no values above like 0.25%. It's impossible to see. And something just as simple as this, right? See how I just pushed the levels there a little bit? This might have been or would have been a way better way to light the scene, because you can at least see what's going on. I would still like push it like this probably, just to get like a little bit more contrast. Again, it depends on our direction, but you gotta keep your audience in mind, because otherwise they're not gonna be able to see. That's the truth to this thing.